What if I told you that millions of Americans are doing everything they were told to do and still can't afford to live? They went to school, they got jobs, they worked overtime, they followed the rules. Yet every month, they're staring at the same question: where did all the money go? The American dream was supposed to be simple: work hard, buy a home, raise a family, and build a better future. But for a growing number of people, that dream feels less like a promise and more like a bill they can never pay. And the most shocking part? This didn't happen by accident. If you enjoy business, money, and hidden wealth stories, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because the truth is, some of the biggest opportunities are hidden where nobody is looking. For generations, the American dream was one of the most powerful ideas ever created. It wasn't just a dream for Americans. It became a symbol recognized around the world. The belief that anyone, regardless of where they started, could build a successful life through hard work and determination. And for a while it seemed true. A single income could support an entire family. Homes were affordable. College wasn't a lifelong financial burden. Many workers could expect stable jobs, pensions, and a clear path toward the middle class. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Today, millions of people are earning more money than previous generations ever did. Yet somehow they feel poorer. They work longer hours, carry more debt, and face greater financial uncertainty than their parents or grandparents. So what happened? To understand the problem, we need to go back several decades. In the decades following World War II, America experienced one of the greatest economic booms in history. Manufacturing exploded. Wages grew steadily. Productivity increased. The economy expanded rapidly. Most importantly, workers benefited directly from that growth. As businesses became more productive, employees saw their paychecks rise too. The average worker could reasonably expect that working harder would result in a better standard of living. But beginning in the late 20th century, a gap quietly started to emerge. Productivity continued rising. Corporate profits continued rising. The stock market continued rising. But wages? Not at the same pace, and that gap would become one of the defining economic stories of modern America. Here's where things get interesting. Most people assume earning more money automatically leads to a better life. But what if the problem isn't income alone? What if the real issue is that the cost of survival has been rising faster than people's ability to keep up? Consider housing. For many families, housing is their largest expense. Decades ago, buying a home required sacrifice, but it was achievable for average workers. Today, in many cities, home prices have exploded far beyond wage growth. Young adults who once expected to own homes are increasingly finding themselves locked out of the market entirely. Rent isn't much better. In some areas, rents have increased so dramatically that families spend enormous portions of their income simply keeping a roof over their heads. And once housing consumes a large percentage of income, every other financial goal becomes harder. But housing is only the beginning. Healthcare presents another challenge. America spends more on healthcare than almost any other developed nation. Yet millions remain concerned about medical costs. A single emergency can create bills large enough to destabilize entire households. People aren't just worried about getting sick, they're worried about what getting sick might cost. Then comes education. For decades, college was marketed as the ultimate investment. A degree promised better jobs, higher earnings, and greater financial security. And in many cases, it still can. But the price tag has changed dramatically. Student loan debt has become a defining financial burden for an entire generation. Many graduates begin adulthood already carrying significant debt before they've even earned their first professional paycheck. And suddenly, the path to success starts with a financial handicap. But perhaps the most fascinating part of this story isn't the expenses, it's how people adapted. Because when wages couldn't keep pace with rising costs, Americans found another solution. Credit cards, auto loans, personal loans, buy now, pay later services. Debt became the bridge between income and lifestyle. Instead of waiting until they could afford something, consumers increasingly financed it, and for a while, it worked. People could buy homes, cars, electronics, vacations, and countless other products without paying up front. Consumption remained strong. The economy kept moving. Businesses continued growing. But there was a hidden cost. Every dollar borrowed today becomes a claim on tomorrow's income. And over time, those claims add up. The result is a financial system where many households aren't just earning money. They're servicing obligations, mortgage payments, car payments, student loans, credit card balances, insurance premiums, subscription services. The list never seems to end. And that's where the psychology becomes powerful. People often measure financial success by income. But wealth isn't just about what comes in. It's about what's left over. A person earning 6 figures can feel financially stressed if expenses consume nearly everything they make. Meanwhile, someone earning less may feel secure because their obligations remain manageable. The difference isn't always income, it's financial flexibility. And that's exactly what many Americans feel they're losing. But there's another layer to this story that rarely gets discussed. The American dream itself evolved. Years ago, success might have meant owning a modest home and raising a family. Today, social media constantly exposes people to lifestyles that appear luxurious and effortless. Every scroll presents bigger houses, newer cars, exotic vacations, and seemingly unlimited wealth. The comparison never ends. As expectations rise, satisfaction often falls. Even financially stable individuals can feel behind, not because they're struggling, but because someone else appears to be doing better. And that creates a powerful cycle. Work more, spend more, compare more, stress more. Repeat. Yet despite all these challenges, people continue chasing the dream. Why? Because the dream itself remains deeply embedded in American culture. It's not just about money, it's about freedom, choice, opportunity, control over your future, the belief that your effort matters. And perhaps that's why conversations about the American dream generate such strong emotions, because they're really conversations about hope. But now we arrive at the hidden secret. The American dream was never actually a product. It was a system built on economic growth, expanding opportunity, rising productivity, affordable assets, and increasing purchasing power. When those conditions existed together, the dream felt attainable. When they drift apart, the dream becomes harder to reach. That's the hidden economic reality. The dream isn't disappearing because people stopped working hard. It's becoming more expensive because the cost of participating in modern life keeps rising. And businesses understand this perfectly. In fact, many industries generate enormous profits from essential expenses: housing, healthcare, education, insurance, finance. These aren't luxury industries, they're survival industries. People don't simply want these services, they need them. And whenever demand becomes unavoidable, powerful business opportunities emerge. That's why some of the largest companies and institutions generate revenue from life's necessities. The economics are surprisingly simple. If consumers must keep paying regardless of economic conditions, those industries become incredibly valuable. And that's one reason the cost of living conversation has become so important, because it's not just about personal finance, it's about understanding where money flows throughout the economy. Now the obvious question becomes, what happens next? No one knows for certain. Technology may improve productivity further. Remote work could reshape housing markets. Artificial intelligence may create entirely new industries while disrupting others. Economic cycles will continue. New opportunities will emerge. Old industries will evolve. But one lesson remains timeless. The people who thrive financially often understand the system better than everyone else. They don't just focus on earning income, they focus on ownership, skills, assets, investments, leverage. They study where money moves and why. Because understanding the rules of the game is often more valuable than simply playing harder. And maybe that's the biggest lesson hidden inside the American dream. The dream was never guaranteed. It was always something people had to adapt to as the world changed around them. Every generation faces different obstacles. Every era creates new opportunities. The challenge isn't preserving the exact dream of the past. It's learning how to build a new version of it for the future. Because at the end of the day, survival isn't just about paying the bills. It's about creating enough freedom that the bills no longer control your life. And perhaps the most important question isn't whether the American dream is dead. It's whether we're willing to redefine what success truly means before the cost of chasing someone else's dream becomes too expensive to afford. Good luck. Until next time.